Test, test. Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, this is sort of one of those weird things that I actually did not expect to do. I was actually recording some stuff for upcoming videos, and this kind of broke, I guess. So it's very interesting because I like doing these little breaking news pieces, and doing a live hangout is the best and easiest way to do it. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to filter in and wonder what's going on, and wonder, hey, what's Crap talking about? Is he making stuff up? No, I actually linked all this stuff below. The sources are all there. So like I'm here, I'm like doing research for podcast this Wednesday. I'm doing research for upcoming videos, which is what I usually do when I have a little bit of free time in the afternoon. Obviously, President's Day, so it's kind of an off day for me. And boom, you see that Scalebound could return as a Switch exclusive, according to a new report. Which, at first you're like, wait. How can that even be a thing, right? How can the Switch go to how can the Scalebound be a Switch exclusive, right? So that leaves you scratching your head. At first, if you're like me, you're like, no, that's impossible, because if you look back, Microsoft renewed the trademark in 2017, but they also let it die again afterwards. So they actually in 2018 let it lapse and didn't actually want it. So what's interesting here about this is the legality of it, which means technically somebody could come out with a game called Scalebound, and it wouldn't be the same Scalebound that we saw from the Xbox brand, right? So that's a little bit of the situation. So like I'm reading this, right, and it was very interesting, because at first you're just like, I don't really know if that's something you could happen. And then I'm thinking, that's the most Phil Spencer thing ever, right? They're not going to do anything. Maybe Platinum Games asked for the IP back, or Nintendo wanted the IP, and Phil, being Phil, was like, sure, we're not using it. You can have it, right? Like that, doesn't that scream Phil Spencer? Like that is the biggest Phil Spencer thing ever. So, Albert G, am I okay with Microsoft becoming more of a game service? I don't understand what you're talking about, game service, man. They're working on a brand new Xbox as we speak, multiple new Xboxes. So, I mean, they're as much of a game service as Nintendo or Sony. At this point, Sony is the only one with an officially working streaming service. That's a game service. What Microsoft isn't doing, is nothing real different from that. Just it's going to be a little bit better. But anyway, so I'm going to kind of read over this. Scalebound. So according to this Nintendo Insider thing, he has confidence in his sources that report that, his understanding, Scalebound has been resurrected as a project to be released as a Nintendo Switch exclusives. Now, given Microsoft's involvement, it remains unclear whether development has been completely rebooted, or at least its ambition scaled back, seeing how it's now going to be for the portable home console. Further to this, I believe the Scalebound is likely going to be the game that's thought to be dead, that Nintendo's reviving, that the Game Informer senior editor hinted at Kind of Funny Games last week, although there's a chance that he could have heard about a different project that will be resurrected. So what's funny about this, he points to that, and then boom, I also linked this. Nintendo's planning to revive a quote-unquote dead and buried game that was officially canceled. So Nintendo kind of going all out here. So they're looking back to an old project that had been once under development and officially canceled. It doesn't say whether it's officially a Nintendo game or something else, but this is allegedly going to be in reviving development on the Nintendo Switch. This is per Game Informer editor Imran Khan, who spoke about the project on Kind of Funny Games, which again, I linked this in the description. He says, let me hint at something, I guess. This is a thing that I'm going to write up at some point as soon as I get some more sources on it. But there's a game that thought to be dead that Nintendo's reviving, and it's not one that people would expect. It's very much a title that was dead and buried, very officially canceled. So those are two completely separate stories, by the way. Very interesting to sort of see this. Please hit the like button. Also hit that share button. By the way, Daniel B. Rand, he didn't say that he heard that Ori 2 and Cuphead are going to the Switch. He said that they could go. You got to be very careful, because he did Crossfire with us and mentioned that, right? That it's one of those interesting things that they could. And again, I don't think Microsoft owns Ori, and I don't think Microsoft owns the Cuphead IP either. So you have to keep that in mind when you look at these things, right? It's not as cut and dry as you might think. When you look at Rand, he says either Microsoft, or if you look at Jez from Windows Central, he says on Twitter, either Microsoft sold the IP or they rebranded it enough to avoid conflict of IP. Not sure how it would work legally. But another thing that I linked was the former IGN girl, Alana Pierce. Well, she's more than that. She's also a reviews director for Inside Gaming and a producer. So she's got some sources and things like that too. And I linked this as well, her tweet. She said, I was told Scalebound would come out, just not as an Xbox exclusive, by someone I consider fairly credible all the way back in June last year, but I didn't believe them. Maybe it's true. So you got a lot of people kind of sounding off about this, and it's one of those things that could be really, really, really interesting that could happen. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of plays out. Look, again, with well, no, here's the thing, Mog. It's not that they don't own the IP. Microsoft owns the IP technically, right? Not renewing the trademark. The trademark is a name. An IP is different than a name, right? So, like, I couldn't go trademark Halo, right? But let's say Microsoft let the Halo name lapse. I could go trademark Halo and make a game called Halo, but it couldn't be Master Chief. It couldn't be that Halo. It would have to be something completely different. So that's the part that people are going to have to kind of come to terms with and understand. It doesn't necessarily mean that if it is true that it's going to be just cut and dry the way that one might think. It's very interesting. At first, I'm like, could this even happen? Is this a thing? Could this ever be really a thing? And then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, maybe it is a thing, because that does sound like a very much a Phil Spencer type thing. And it's something that I could see, him being okay with, because if you actually want to look at it, right. And you might go, oh, well, maybe not. Right. Crap. Here's the thing. Phil Spencer gave up multiple IPs, right? They let Shadowrun go, right? They let a studio run with that. Why? Because Microsoft wasn't doing anything with it, so they let them use that. He's been open to letting Banjo-Kazooie be on like Smash Brothers. He also let go of multiple IPs like Explosion Man, Miss Explosion Man, The Maw, Gunstringer. Those are all Twisted Pixel IPs. When he let them go as a studio, he let all those IPs go as well. Remember those? What was those? Those toy box games or whatever they were, where you could play as like He-Man or Army Man or whatever it is. Microsoft owned that IP, but not the developer. But when the developer, I guess, left or whatever, Microsoft just gave them that IP back once Phil took back over. So I do think that Phil Spencer, what's up, everybody? Yeah, good call bringing up Blinks. By the way, please hit the like button if you guys are just joining. I would really appreciate it. So yeah, this is sort of interesting breaking rumors, speculation / report, because it is a report, which is a little bit different than just a baseless rumor. And sort of what we're starting to see is that there's a little bit of a possibility of this, because like I said, it's starting to catch on a little bit that people are talking about this, which, surprise, surprise, let's just say that something like this does happen. You're already starting to see people go, well, you know what? I wasn't interested in it as an Xbox exclusive, but as a as a Switch exclusive, I definitely buy it. That's always the funny stuff that really gets to me, right? When people say stuff like that, I just think that it's kind of funny. Like, everybody's just so down on on Xbox all the time when it's an Xbox game. But as soon as there's a possibility they can go to something else, oh man, it's the best thing ever, and you're really excited for it, and blah blah blah. Like, that just goes to show you how people sort of react differently towards these different consoles and things like that. So for me personally, is this some huge deal? I don't know if it's a huge deal. I think that it's something that people might be upset about, or I don't know. Like, look, if you ask me, hey, crap, what do you think about Cuphead or Ori going to Switch? Well, I don't particularly care. Microsoft doesn't own those IP. So if that were to be the case, I don't particularly care. Now, if you're talking about what Microsoft is doing with allowing a game that they owned to go someplace else, again, this isn't unprecedented territory, because they've allowed this to happen before. If Microsoft's not going to do anything with it, which, by the way, why would they do something with it? It'd be a big joke like Crackdown. So think about this, right? If this is to be true, let's just pretend for a minute that this is true, okay? Scalebound is being resurrected. Microsoft gave the IP to Nintendo for, a Mario piggy bank and a Zelda watch, okay? They gave it to Nintendo. Now, Nintendo's making a game called Scalebound. Nintendo has a great relationship with Platinum Games, right? So let's just say they resurrected this game and it's going to be Scalebound, a little bit different than what we saw, but it's still going to be Scalebound. You're going to have like the Beats headset on or whatever, and you're flying a dragon, whatever. Cool, right? Well, here's the thing. If Microsoft were to ever try to reboot that franchise or redo that franchise themselves, the thing is, I think that it would get as much problems as Crackdown 3 did, right? And the main reason I say that is because you're talking about a game that has struggled in development. So for those of you that don't really know the story about Scalebound, this game was in development hell for a long time. It was missing, like when you're a developer, like especially like a second party or third party, and you have a job to do for a company, it's one of those situations where you have to meet milestones. And right, so milestones are basically like checkpoints, and like Microsoft would send somebody over to the studio to check out these milestones and see where they're at. And I guess from like Gamescom of 2015 to the end of the year, whatever it was, like 6-month period, when they went to go check on the milestone, they were actually further behind than they were with the game at Gamescom. So that was a bit of an issue, and the game ran pretty poorly. We've also heard other rumors that like everything from the fact that there was a possibility that Microsoft actually did try to complete the game, but nobody could get this thing running. There was a lot of different instances of things like that happening. And, I just find it to be kind of funny that now people are super interested in Scalebound now when they hear that possibility that it could be, coming back. Exactly, Gadang, and shout out to him. Platinum Games kept missing deadlines. They were the ones that kind of messed up. Also, Travis, with the speculation, because I've mentioned that before, Platinum was using Scalebound money to complete other games. That's been a rumor as well, too. Do you think Microsoft is using xCloud to help penetrate the Japanese market, being that they're so mobile? That could be a true statement, man. They do like streaming there more so than here in the States, that's for sure. Nintendo has a very good development relationship with Platinum Games, where they taught Platinum some development tricks. Would love to see Scalebound out under Nintendo's watch. Look, that might be the only way that we could see this game do anything decently, to be honest with you, because to be honest, just it's one of those things where Nintendo has such a good name where people might actually be willing to give this game a chance. And I think that's completely possible. So I don't really know how that would work out, but this is very interesting to see that this is kind of a report thing. And again, the thing that got to me was, so it is sort of a small site, the Nintendo Insider site or whatever, right? And I get it. I take it with a grain of salt or whatever, because that's how these things start, right? Just a rumor. But when you tie it together with this Gaming Bold art or this Game Informer article, right, about how, according to Game Informer's, one of the people that works there, the editor, he's heard that Nintendo is actually reviving this game that was officially canceled, and it's going to be like this surprising game. And then with the Alana Pierce thing, too, saying she heard last June from somebody she considers a credible source, you start to maybe wonder a little bit if there isn't a little bit of legs to this. You just have to wonder to what point there is, some kind of fire where there's smoke. You know what I mean? So I know a lot of people are very interested in this topic. And look, I'm sure everybody and their mother is going to do a video about this. The main thing is it's just rumors and speculation right now. But where there's smoke, there's fire. So there does tend to be a little bit of that situation when we see stuff like this. And I find it to be incredibly interesting because it was a game that I was looking forward to, but everybody else said looked really bad. So, hey, good dang. I mean, a lot of people would be salty, I'm sure. You know what I mean? I think that would be incredibly weird and a very Phil Spencer thing. And when I say that, I don't mean that disrespectfully. I mean, Phil Spencer's like that kind of guy that wants to, give these type of games a chance or whatever, and to help these things live. And I completely get that. I do see that. And I think that it's something that, Nintendo could possibly pull off. I don't know. I think it'd be very interesting to see how well they could pull that off, and I could see them actually doing a good job with it. Maybe they changed the aesthetic of it, because I'm not sure that you could pull that game off that we were originally promised, which was like 4-player co-op RPG type deal with flying dragons and stuff. I don't think you could do that on a Nintendo Switch with the current graphical capabilities of that console, right? But with the Xbox version, I think that that's something that was possible. But remember, the frame rate was really bad at the time on the Xbox One. So you do got to be thinking, that is a little bit weird. And before people go, oh, well, Phil's killing Xbox or whatever, again, how if this is true, let's just pretend it is true for another minute here, and I'm going to flip the coin on this as well. If this is true, again, it doesn't impact us, because it means that Microsoft was never going to do anything with this IP, and they gave it to Nintendo. Maybe that opens up lanes to get something later. I don't know. Maybe they just were helping them out. I'm not really sure. Maybe Microsoft really is just intent on keeping the industry alive and helping out the industry and things like that. So it is sort of weird. If you guys do have questions, go ahead and at me on there, and I'll answer them as I'm going along too. Looking forward to this game, but the game I really wanted to play on the One X. Exactly. So Phil Spencer is losing more fans for his garnishing. It's harder and harder to accept his vision. Mad Max, here's the thing. His vision is, I think, the vision for these companies in general now. If you listen to what Sean Layden said, a post-console future, not next week or next year or 10 years from now, but, all these consoles are going to be streaming on everything, and that's probably going to be the only way most of us are going to be able to play. Who knows about the physical hardware aspect of things in the future, but I would expect Sony, who is desperately working on their back end to streaming things like that, they're gonna do things like that too. So this is like way far away, by the way. So I don't know if this is true, but again, coincidences, I'm not really a huge coincidence person, so this isn't something where I'm like, holy cow, this is such a coincidence. To me, when you see Dead and Buried, right, and they're bringing a game back that was dead and buried and officially canceled, and it might surprise people, and you got people going, oh, I'm going to run articles on it. Don't be surprised if it is, because like I said, you do have people very credible talking about, hey, I've heard that this is a game. Again, Alana Pierce is somebody who's in the industry, who runs a gaming show and has a lot of credible sources, and she heard last June that Scalebound was going to come back, but not as an Xbox exclusive. So that is very strange, but very Phil Spencer, very pro industry, pro gaming, pro whatever. Very surprising, but still not very surprising, I guess. So it's one of those things that a lot of people might not be a fan of, but for me personally, it's not something that I really, really wouldn't expect to happen. So when you look at the different scenarios surrounding this, I think you could see a very fun type game, or you could just see that they let the actual name Scalebound go. But again, why would you renew it? And they renewed it in 2017. That's going to be, that's going to be the problem. Who do you think might do better than Spencer as head of Xbox? Good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a Phil Spencer thing, right? Because I don't really necessarily have a problem with Phil. I wish that he would be more one of those type of people that would fight a little bit more for the brand, or let some of the people do some things. If this is true, that it's AJ Felton, he says if Scalebound is multi-plat, then it's fine. But if it's Switch exclusive, that would be the biggest slap in the face and the biggest L in gaming. Yay, man, that's a perfectly fine way to look at it, in my opinion, right? It's like when Microsoft didn't have very many games, and Shadowrun, I think, is a PC game. Microsoft let that IP, those people make a game with that IP because they weren't using it, right? So that could be something like this, but it is one of those situations where, people would probably be pissed off. Maybe I'd be pissed off about it. I don't know, but it is a little bit weird to think about it. Hey, why don't you guys hit that like button? Almost 400 watching. We may get over 100 likes. I think that would be pretty cool. Much appreciated as well. I don't usually go live with a lot of the breaking news and stuff. But if you guys enjoy it, I would actually do it more often and do a little bit long form and things like that. So here's the thing. According to the trademarks, Microsoft still owns the Scalebound trademark. So, we'll have to see how that plays out. But this is all very interesting because, I just don't think that. I think, like I said, there's two ways that this could happen, right? Microsoft, according to this, abandoned the trademark for Scalebound on it looks like December 4th, 2017, right? And it looks like that's just the way it is. But they continue to keep the IP in its possession, according to the trademark portal. The Scalebound IP is currently, it's very interesting to see this. So yeah, like it looks like they abandoned the actual trademark for Scalebound again, meaning that somebody could come out with a game called, and I'm reading this as we're going along, and it was like I had to translate this, use the translator. And so it's weird to see that they actually did abandon it after renewing it in 2017, shortly after they abandoned it. Because I remember I did a video about it, about how they could possibly bring it back because it was renewed. And they actually commented and said, nope, it's not renewed. So here's the thing. Microsoft are not quiet with this kind of stuff. If this is actually something, they won't say anything, right? If Nintendo is working on this game now and they gave up the IP, Phil Spencer, Mikey Barra, nobody's going to say anything about it, right? That's how you know it's true, because Phil Spencer and company love to say not true, nope, not happening, to a lot of these rumors and stuff to kind of nip it in the bud. So if it is a situation where this is not true, then they'll say it's not true. If it's true and you don't hear anything from Phil and company in the next couple days, then you know it's pretty much confirmed to be true, because that's how they operate. That's the way they do this. So why did they not renew it? I don't know why they didn't renew it, because they have no intentions of doing the game. Here's the thing. Microsoft, whether we like it or not, is doing a lot of they're doing a lot of games that are, games as a service, online, all that kind of stuff. And maybe that game doesn't fit with what they're trying to do. It's like co-op RPG. So I don't really know. It's weird to sort of look at it and wonder sort of what's going on, or what could happen in the future with it. But I do think that, Microsoft is intelligent and Microsoft kind of knows what they're doing. But at the same time, you do scratch your head a bit when you hear stuff like this, because, Microsoft obviously isn't perfect. And even though they do listen to the fans and things like that, it's they do tend to do like head scratching things like this, or where they'll announce a PC exclusive and things like that. So Xbox Infinite, he says, I thought Microsoft still owns IP. Did they sell it? Well, they abandoned the trademark for whatever that is. According to the trademark, it seems like this could have changed. So after its cancellation, Microsoft has continued to keep the Scalebound IP in its possession, although according to recent information, it seems that this could have changed. According to the trademark portal, the Scalebound IP is currently abandoned with no owner. This could give considerable basis to take into account the rumors that have arisen in the last hours. However, in trademark portal, it does look like the IP is currently abandoned. It still belongs to Microsoft. Therefore, it seems that it's a very complicated issue. We'll have to wait and see if Microsoft actually. So here's what we get from here, right? The owner of the IP, which is okay. So when you hear something like a trademark renewal, a trademark is different than the ownership of an IP. So that was like what I was saying. Like if Microsoft were, and if you're just joining me, so the latest scuttlebutt is that Nintendo is bringing back Scalebound exclusively on the Nintendo Switch, right? That's the news. I've linked some of these in the description. Now, the interesting thing is Microsoft abandoned the Scalebound trademark, meaning somebody else can come out with a game called Scalebound, right? But according to the official documents here, Microsoft still owns the actual IP of Scalebound. So what we could also see is a game called Scalebound that's different than what we were showing on Xbox, a completely rebooted type situation. Or Microsoft could have possibly even sold the IP, but it looks like they're still in possession of the ownership of that IP right now, which is very interesting. Going to be interesting to see how that sort of plays out, because I know a lot of people who would be very upset if it turned out that, did get, oh yeah, LG Nemesis. I mooched a copy of Metro. I'm gonna start it up tonight and see how it is, but it looks really good, especially graphically. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it kind of plays out and how it pans out. But um, you know, would you guys feel like in the chat if it turns out that Scalebound gets revived as a Nintendo Switch exclusive? Is that something that you guys would piss you guys off as Xbox fans? Or do you think that's the most Phil Spencer thing ever? Because think about it from Phil Spencer's point of view, right? That he's thinking, dopey dopey dope, I'm Phil Spencer. Let's see, Nintendo wants to use the Scalebound name, and we're not ever going to use it. So dopey dopey dope dope. Gamers love gamers. Gamers like gamers. Gamers love. Okay, you guys can have it. Dopey 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 dope. Right. So I imagine that as being something that Phil Spencer actually did, and would give that up or whatever. You know what I mean? Without thinking about how it would actually make a lot of the fans feel, because you got to remember that although I think Phil's a good guy, he's still the guy that turned that crap around on me about canceling a pre-order for a game because other people got to play, even though he knew damn well that that wasn't what I was upset about, because I had stated it in previous tweets and whatever it is. So it's very interesting to see how this kind of turns out, and if indeed Phil Spencer would be willing to give up that IP. To me, it sounds like the most Phil thing ever, but maybe some other people might not agree with that, and I think that's fine as well. But just saying, to me personally, it does sound a little bit like something Phil Spencer would ultimately do. And again, here's how I would feel about it. 100%. I would probably be a little bit salty if it was a Switch exclusive and it was the same Scalebound game, because it's like you got these studios now, you know, and you couldn't get the game done, and now you're gonna let Nintendo have your game, like that to me wouldn't make sense. Also, not only would it not make sense, but in a way it does make sense. So I'm sort of torn about the whole situation, because like I said a little bit ago, if they were to bring back Scalebound, revive it, right? Here it is, Scalebound is going to come out in 2020, a launch game for the next Xbox. Wouldn't that be a joke like Crackdown 3 was, though? Right? A game that was like sort of in development hell, that had a lot of problems and people kept saying was going to be garbage. I could just imagine a game like that just getting totally trashed once again in the media and things like that. So, yeah, I don't think that that's, to me, that's the two sort of different ways that I look at things. I really do think that that's going to be interesting to see how that sort of plays out, because I'm seeing a lot of people that are sort of feel both ways about it. You know what I mean? Like some people are really kind of pissed, and some people like really don't care one way or the other. But I personally maybe would care. Crapgamer, are you not tired from all the L's this gen? All for one review. I don't know what L's you're talking about. I've just been enjoying playing games. I've got over 850 games. So on my Xbox alone, not counting the, I think 25 I have on Switch and 125 on PS4. So, I'm a gamer. I just prefer Xbox. So for me personally, I don't really chalk it up to L's and W's or anything like that. While I do like enjoy, and I think it's fun to kind of do like the console war thing, I don't really look at it as me personally taking a L or Microsoft, because Microsoft has a completely different strategy and idea that a lot of people don't like. But it really does eliminate a lot of the fanboy stuff, because you have no idea exactly their sales or what's going on behind the scenes. And I think that really ticked people off. So, Nintendo worth more than Microsoft has. That's a lie. Nintendo's not worth more than Microsoft. If Scalebound comes to both the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch as a collaborative resurgence, I don't see why that would make sense to me. How would you get no, I have 850 games, man. 850. That's including my backwards compatible games on my Xbox One right now. So, let's see. I have Well, I think it's 120 backwards compatible games or something like that. But for the most part, is just current gen games and stuff like that. Anything new that comes out, I have or I get. It's really just one of those things where I get almost everything. So you name it, I get it, unless it's something like Dark Souls or something like that, because then I'll never play it anyway. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. I don't know if they could revive this game as a collaborative effort with Xbox and Nintendo, for the main reason being is the game ran poorly on the base Xbox One. There was a lot of frame rate issues and bugs. Even though it could probably run on the X, they would have to totally redo this game for the Switch, right? And I don't really see how that would be great for Xbox fans, right? So think about that, right? So the games that do crossplay, like Fortnite, that's not a very graphically intensive game, so, it's just these cartoony type things. Or Minecraft is crossplay, or Rocket League is crossplay. Like, you could never put Halo 5 crossplay, or, you know what I mean? So, like, that stuff you don't really have to worry about. Um, it's going to be interesting to see how it, like, plays. Lethal Papa says, I have, like, 500 plus Game Pass, nothing to play. Dude, yeah, I mean, that's another thing, right? Like, Game Pass is the thing. Anybody that has a subscription to that, you got hundreds of games right there to play. Let alone you get 4 every month with games with gold, which, by the way, I've never heard PlayStation dudes complain about not being able to do the PS3 games anymore, possibly because, um, you know, there's no backwards compatibility there. Hopefully we get some backwards compatibility with the next thing. Hey, let's see if we can't get up over 100 likes. We're closing in on it. I would really appreciate it. Show some love, man. Look, I'm not saying that this is for sure thing happening. I'm just saying that this is the rumor today, and I linked the sources below. I linked 3 different sources. So a lot of the people that are like, "Oh, crap is full of," or whatever, this is just the big scuttlebutt of the day. And I'm not saying that I 100% believe it, but when I saw that Alana Pierce, from former IGN girl, and she does inside gaming as well, like a producer there, said that her sources had said that Scalebound would come back, but not as an Xbox exclusive. And then you see the completely other thing where Nintendo is planning to revive a dead and buried game that was officially canceled, as according to somebody from a very big gaming site. The gaming former editor has said that Nintendo is planning to bring back a canceled game that's very surprising. So he says, let me hint at it if you're just joining me, I guess. This is a thing that I'm going to write up at some point as soon as I get some more sources on it. But there's a game that's thought to be dead that Nintendo's reviving, and it's not one that people would expect. It's very much a title that was dead and buried, very officially canceled. So when you think about games that have been very officially canceled, that to me is one that has been very, very officially canceled. And you know what I mean. I think that that's going to be play well for what they're trying to do in the future. Now, look, if you guys look at how Nintendo is getting that Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, right? That is something graphically that's not great if it was on Xbox or whatever. I think it looks okay for it being on the Switch, but people have to remember that Xbox gamers, PlayStation gamers, we all have sort of different ideas on what we like and what's acceptable in terms of video games and stuff like that. So I would love to see how this turns out, to be honest with you, like if it is indeed true. And I would also love to see the divisive sort of reactions to fans, because I think as fans, you're entitled to be pissed off about it if it does come out to Nintendo, right? Yeah, that's kind of bold on Microsoft's part to allow that to happen if it does happen. This is what I said, and I did a video about this not long ago, and it was called hold on, I'll tell you exactly what it's called. Microsoft stopped caring about loyal Xbox One console gamers. We're not the focus, right? So a lot of people gave me some credit and props on this video. It's like a 7-8 minute video, and in it, and I'm not dogging Microsoft, by the way. I'm just saying that Microsoft does not really care about the console market anymore. Sure, they're making another console, and I think that's cool, and they're going to continue to make consoles for a while, right? We're going to get multiple consoles, they're all about options, though, right? They want people to be able to play their stuff wherever they can, and I think the only thing that keeps them off of PlayStation is the fact that Sony doesn't want Xbox stuff on PlayStation. I think that's the only thing that stops it. I do think, like other people like Rand and Jez have said, I do think you might see some smaller stuff like Ori 2 or Super Lucky's Tale or Cuphead go to the Nintendo Switch. And the reason why I think that is because not only do Microsoft and Nintendo have a decent working relationship, but even before Phil Spencer took over, I'm talking years ago, Microsoft, I think under Don Matrick, allowed Rare to make games for the Game Boy Advance. Like, I think they made a Viva Pinata game for the Game Boy Advance. I think they made a Conquer game for the Game Boy Color or something like that after Microsoft had already bought them. And Microsoft had allowed Nintendo to make a Halo handheld game, and that kind of fell through. But it ended up turning into Metroid Prime or something like that for the Nintendo DS back in the day. So Microsoft, I don't really think looks at them as really sort of a competition situation, right? So it's very interesting to see this sort of come about, just because, like I said, you wouldn't really expect it. It's not really expected, but this is like sort of out of left field and very surprising to me, and very interesting to say the least as well. But again, as gamers, maybe we just sort of just take this and go, hey, you know what? We did what we could. We're fans, but at the end of the day, we should just count our blessings. It's like here's the thing, right? This is what it reminds me of, and it sort of ticks me off because I think this way a little bit too. Okay, so in your left hand, you've got Playground Games. They've got 2 studios, and you've got the Initiative and In Exile and Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory. You've got all these new studios and stuff that Microsoft bought, and all these games that Microsoft are working on right now. And then in your right hand, you've got this old crusty IP that people hated on, and this game that couldn't get right, and this game that was really busted and broken, and that game possibly going to the Nintendo Switch because Microsoft doesn't want it, and maybe they sold the IP, or maybe they just gave it away because they were never going to use it. And instead of focusing on our left hand, it has all those great new studios working on great new titles. We're looking at the right hand and going, oh, I really want that. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes in life and as gamers, it's also very smart to just, go ahead and say, hey, let's be grateful for what we have. Yeah, I mean, you're entitled to feel a certain kind of way if if you're not on board with this, if it does indeed happen. But at the same time, hey, you know what? If it does happen, it's all good. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna particularly sweat it. Who hated on Scalebound? Dude, everybody hated on Scalebound, right? Like, the media was hating on it, fanboys were hating on it, and then when it was canceled, everybody was like, well, you know what? That was the only game I was ever interested in ever for Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like, that was so for the Xbox. I was gonna buy an Xbox One to play that particular game, and now I'm not. Right? That was like something that we heard a lot, and so that was very interesting to me to sort of see how that played out and how everybody was only interested in it after the fact, right? So we're sort of going through that again with with this situation because a lot of people aren't ready to let go. So I do think that it's funny, and I do think that it's funny to see people get hyped for this, just because people crapped all over this game for so long, and it's just very interesting to see how people are reacting to it now, if it indeed does turn out to be true. Which again, at first I was just like, no way, because Microsoft does indeed own the IP still, and you can easily check that out. But when you look further into it, they did abandon the trademark for it. So again, maybe it's just something where Nintendo or somebody wants to trademark something and Microsoft allow it. So only when it was canceled, Xbox fans hated on it. I'm not talking about Xbox fans, although I don't think some really cared for the game. I'm talking about like PlayStation fans and things like that. Everybody was like, hated on the game until it was canceled, and then they all were interested in it and wanted it, and now everybody wants it again, right? Oh my God, if it was an Xbox exclusive, I would have hated that. But now that it might be a Switch exclusive, I'm all on board. Time to buy a Switch, right? Like that's it. When you see that level of hate for a simple console, you might be involved a little bit too much in the whole console war thing, right? Like I've never seen people get so bent out of shape over a console as they do with Xbox. And I know some of you might not agree, but think about it. Everybody's like, Xbox has no games. I'll just play that. It could be the best looking. It could be called the greatest game on earth and get 10 out of 10 across the board. And PlayStation fans and people would go, I'll just play it on my PC, right? As if that's some kind of competent argument, or that Microsoft wouldn't want that. Just like when people go, you know what? I'll play that through Game Pass, as if Microsoft doesn't have that service set up for people to play, and they make money off of it either way. So it's like that doesn't hurt Microsoft. It still helps Microsoft no matter how you spin it. You know what I mean? So, it's really interesting to see that sort of dynamic where people think they're hurting Microsoft by playing their games on PC or playing them through Game Pass instead of buying it. It hurts it little. I had 36 people playing Rumple Foreskin, thank you. I had 36 people playing Crackdown the other day, and now I have like 45 people on my friends list playing Crackdown 3. So people can sit there and go, oh, well, it's this or that or the other thing, but Game Pass gave life to that game, and people are playing it, and people are having fun with it. A game that everybody thought was dead or that nobody would give a chance to, and now this game possibly has a chance to succeed for a future and for a sequel. So yeah, hashtag options, I guess it is. You know what I mean? So Ernie says PC and phones ain't for gaming. Man, I'm with you on the phones thing, man. I do not see how this whole future of gaming works with phones. Just as a guy, like I'm a adult with a job, and I don't see how you can game on a phone and be competitive against people who aren't on a phone. I guess I don't have anything against PC gamers. It's not for me. It's just one of those situations where it's just not my thing, but I can totally at least respect the people that want to, that's a perfectly okay way to game, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Especially if you're an enthusiast and you have the money. Hell yeah, dude, that's crazy. So, I just think that, hey, Taz, man, Xbox games are fun, man. You got to give them a chance. If you just go and, oh, well, they're crappy. Dude, give them a chance, man. Gears 4, Forza Horizon, Crackdown. These games are fun. Sunset Overdrive, Halo, Dead Rising 3, Killer Instinct. There's a Titanfall. There's a lot of really good games that are on the Xbox platform. So to sit there and just go, hey, they're all bad, that's really short-sighted and just kind of ignorant, to be honest with you. So just saying. Yeah. So any other questions in here? I'll be happy to answer some if I can. Oh, you're saying they're not crappy. Okay, dude. I hear you, dude. I hear you. The iPhone X is more powerful than the Xbox One. It's not more powerful than the Xbox One X, though. So, yeah. Yeah, Crackdown, man. Crackdown is fun, to be honest with you. I know it's easy to sit there and make fun of it because of its score, but at the end of the day, it's a very fun game. It's crazy. I wish that there was more Terry Crews. I reviewed it, and I thought it was. I gave you guys can check it out if you want. I gave it an average score, but I just think that it's one of those games that really sort of got a bad rap simply because of what happened with the development cycle and things like that. So I would love to see this game continue to do well and to really just sort of find a home there in the future or whatever. So for me personally, even going back to this whole Scalebound situation, I think that if the game can come back in some kind of form or whatever, more power to it. It's not exactly something that I'd be extremely happy about, but again, I don't know that I'd hate it either. It really just sort of depends on what happens in the future. You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be now if it comes out and it's a great game and it turns out that Platinum was just like, hey, we're taking your money and wasting it and we can really make a good Scalebound game and just not for you guys, then I think that's a bit of a problem. And then, you'll see I can be pissed off too. So that's going to be interesting. What do I think the score of Crackdown should be? I think that the Metacritic should be 75, anywhere from 70 to 75, to be honest with you. and I think it would be awesome. So Evan says, shout out to you, Crap, for helping rescue animals. Thank you. I always say, man, adopt, don't shop. See what you can do. Think global, act local. See, everybody thinks they can't make a difference because they're only one person or whatever, and there's so many problems. But if you just do little things every day, you can help out. So that'll be perfect. Am I getting Anthem? Man, I'm saving up for a wedding and stuff, man. A lot of the games that I get now are either going to have to be review code stuff, or am I going to have to, or it's going to have to be you know, gifted. People are going to have to gift it to me because most of my money is kind of being saved for that kind of stuff. So why do you think Microsoft owns Cuphead, or that's an Xbox One exclusive when it's a multi-plat? Microsoft doesn't own Cuphead. It's a console exclusive. And there's rumors that it could go to Switch. I mean, I don't particularly care. Yeah, man, I got if you guys didn't know, man, I got engaged on Valentine's Day. So there's going to be a wedding this year. And so yeah, I'm still doing YouTube and all that kind of stuff. I just a lot of my money and stuff in terms of what I make is going to be kind of put over towards doing that. You know, it's got to, you know, it's gonna be fun. So yeah, I do appreciate that. So yeah, feel free. Like my boy Sleepy Goblin, man, he hooked me up with Metro Exodus, man. I'm gonna start that I think tonight, and give it a whirl and see if it's better than the previous ones. People are saying it's much better and plays better, so I'm really happy about that. You know, it's I'm blown away by the generosity of the fans. You know, I've been doing this stuff a long time. I'm not one of those people that blindly hates on other people or anything like that. You'll never see me say a bad word about anybody else in the community or YouTubers or anything like that. I kind of stay in my own lane, do my own thing. I couldn't care less about the childish side of stuff. I just want to talk about video games and do this kind of stuff. I don't think I'm the best at any of this stuff. I just think that I'm able to do what I can and give it my all, and that's all you can do, man. When you do YouTube or any kind of job, you just do the best of your ability and hope that you can reach some people. And I've been able to do that through the years. Recently just hit like 60,000 subscribers, which is crazy to me as well. And just always really just enjoy talking about gaming, man, and especially love seeing the resurgence of MNC in the mornings on Sunday mornings, man. We had a really big crowd, and that show's doing really well. I love that because it's such a different thing and a different dynamic, and me and Mooch and everything. Hey, thank you, Rumple Foreskin, $2 towards your wedding. I appreciate that, man. It's just always fun and to interact with you guys. That's why I like doing these things. But the problem is, it's like, like I said, with engagements and my job and stuff like that, my time is a little bit tougher to do the live shows and stuff like that. That's why I sort of like doing the videos so much, because those are a little bit easier for me to actually kind of accomplish. No, man, I don't like particularly care about getting to like the childish, especially on this channel, man. I'm not one of those guys, man. There's plenty of those people out there. Just me, I prefer to keep it gaming, keep it fun, and keep it Xbox. You know what I mean? I don't mind anything else though. You know what I mean? Like I play on PlayStation. I was playing on the Switch this morning. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really matter to me. I prefer Xbox, but I'm not gonna hate on somebody because they don't. So that's just sort of how I feel about it. And I think that a lot of people sort of feel that way as well. So as for me personally, is what I'm saying. I just like to keep it gaming, have a good time with it. You know what I mean? I am talking more about that, JD Gamer. I do talk a little bit more about it than I had in the past. I think just because, first of all, it helps you to form a little bit more of a understanding and a bond with some of your subscribers and things like that, right? So, a lot of people just, go on YouTube and they don't really talk about themselves much. And I get that as well. But for me personally, it came to a point where I got tired of just not talking about stuff that I did, or, being caught up in being Crapgamer, the guy that used to sling jokes and kind of poke fun and just be like the Howard Stern of this stuff. I enjoyed doing that because it was fun at that time. And then as you kind of grow and progress and things like that, I wanted people to know a little bit more about the real me, which was kind of the opposite of that. You know what I mean? Like a character versus I do feel passionately about Xbox and I play on Xbox 99% of the time, but I'm a dick like less than 1% of the time in my life. So you guys, unfortunately, a lot of people got the bad impression of me trying to be outrageous 4 or 5 years ago, saying stupid things or tweeting stupid things and apologizing for it, of course. And people just kind of still hold that as being me as opposed to the guy that I actually am, which is unfortunate. But, you know, you can't really change people's minds. A lot of people will latch on to any reason to hate me, basically just because I prefer Xbox. And that's unfortunate too, you know what I mean? Because life is too short for all that kind of stuff. And, you know, personally, it's one of those things that, you know, just I don't mind sharing a little bit of the few things, especially you get engaged or, you know, you're happy or you rescue an animal, you know, like Rand rescued a dog. I thought that was great. You know, just seeing stuff like that really does wonders for people. So I'm really happy with that. And I think that it's, you know, really, really cool stuff. No, you know, my gamer score still going to be hidden. Actually, you can see my gamer score. You just can't see the achievements on particular games. So, yeah, exactly. You know, yeah, WR's Cup. Yeah, that's right, man. Later this year, I think it's gonna be later this year. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe winter time. Mm. Let's see. Anything else? Oh yeah, the Browns suck. WR. Don't want to forget that. So yeah, I'll answer a few more questions and then I gotta go. But yeah, man, very interesting. If this is one of those things that turns out to be true, I'd be very interesting. Oh, dude, man, I said I wasn't getting married again years ago, dude. Come on, you know everybody changes, man. You gotta roll with the changes, man. Ninja Theory's game, we're gonna see that next year. Uh, no, I haven't been able to buy a new TV yet, man. All my money's tied up right now. Yes, I'm going to be getting Division 2 if I can. First of all, Microsoft funded Cuphead. Microsoft pretty much owns Cuphead IP. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't stop it from being on the Switch. Hey, what's up, Xbot? So that's why you wouldn't bet against the Browns. Dude, I could have bet against the Browns that last game of the season, won me a bunch of money, man. You know, heck yeah. Yeah, winter wedding. That sounds fun to me, especially in Florida, man. So damn hot. Is she a gamer too? I've gotten her into the Switch. She likes Mario Kart. So it's evolving. It's evolving. What game am I looking forward to most this year? Gears 5, of course. Any recommendations on a puppy for a first-time dog owner? You know what? You can't really go wrong with labs or lab mixes. I would suggest go check out a shelter, rescue a dog. That's probably one they're going to do. Does Microsoft own the IP to Scalebound? That's what I was told a little bit ago. So Xbot, here's the thing. Microsoft owns the actual IP, right? The intellectual property. They let go of the actual trademark of the name Scalebound, though. So this Scalebound, that if it is turning out that Nintendo's having the Scalebound game, it doesn't seem like it's going to be the Scalebound that we were shown for Xbox years ago. So Baker Bumfield, dude, Baker Bumfield can't do anything, man. He threw 3 picks the last game of the season, man. That guy's a bum. Throw a little bit of pressure on him, and he's done. He's done. Okay, so FaZe, if you guys are just joining me, real quick, there is this rumor which I linked in the description that Nintendo is reviving the Scalebound game, and it's going to be a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Now, Microsoft did let go of the Scalebound trademark, but they still own the IP. Now, it is possible that they sold the IP and they're just updating this information. And this is what I would say, and I mentioned this earlier. Here's the thing. If Microsoft comes out and says, nope, not true, then it's not true. Because Microsoft always is quick to go out there and go, hey, that's not true, right? But if they don't say anything for a couple days, then I think you kind of get your answer right there that there's something fishy going on and there is something true about that. So I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. And I would be very interested to see how Microsoft sort of reacts, because I think that there are going to be two types of fans. There's going to be fans who are indifferent to it. And there's going to be fans that are going to be pissed off because they're going to go, you know, Microsoft doesn't even think about us at all. You know, they just let this game go and get made. And again, but if you're an Xbox fan that thinks like that, I would just say, think about it this way. If Microsoft were to revive the game and it comes out, is it going to be facing the same kind of criticisms that Crackdown 3 did, right? I don't think Crackdown 3 got a fair shake in the media at all. It's a fun game. Is it a 10? Is it a great game? No. Is it a good game? Yes. So I think that 100% true that a lot of the media that reviews these games nowadays go off of what people are saying on social media and then base their reviews on that as well. So if there's a lot of hype around something, it's going to get a good review for the most part. If there's a lot of hate for something, it's going to get a poor review. There is no way in the world that Crackdown 3 should be a 59, 60 Metacritic. It should be a 70, easy, you know? And so that's the thing that sort of disappoints me as an Xbox fan. But hopefully we get to, you know, I don't really know about, you know, about how this Crackdown or how this Scalebound stuff's going to work out. It's going to be interesting. Let's see. What else do we got? Crackdown got exactly what it deserves. I disagree. If you played it, you wouldn't say that. Let's see. Crackdown 3 is a casual type of game. Yeah, just like a lot of games, to be honest with you. Doesn't mean that they're bad. Let's see. It should, yeah, Microsoft owns the IP. Dude, I get it, man. I like Rand Outdoor too, dude, but just like anybody else, just like me, it's just all opinions, man. If Rand says it's a 65 game, that's cool. I think it's a 75 game. So that's just opinions, man. Let's see. What else we got? Dude, Crackdown 3 couldn't run on the Switch if their life depended on it, man. Yeah, here's the thing. I reviewed what's up, Sleepy dude? I appreciate the copy of Metro, dude. I'm gonna start it tonight. I really do appreciate it. Hey, everybody, hit that like button, share it out if you could. I'd really appreciate it as well. Crackdown 3 felt like a remaster, but I see why people liked it. When I did my review, I said that, right? If they would have just called this Crackdown Reimagined, sort of like Sony did with Ratchet and Clank, where they reimagined the first game, it would have probably did a little bit better. You know, for me personally, I think it would have, but for, you know, everybody else, I totally get it. You know, it's a fun game, but it's one of those games that's not really making you think a lot. You know, you really just play the game, you have fun, you blow stuff up, and you have a good time with it. And that's basically sort of what it's all about. And realistically, I'm fine with that, but not everybody is fine with that. And I get that too. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of pans out. You know, I think it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that works out in the future, and if that's something that you know, Microsoft can sort of fix if they get a sequel, right? Like put more Terry Crews in it, right? I would love to see more Terry Crews. Make him the focal point of the game, because that's a character. He's a character, man. It's awesome. When he's in it, it's awesome. The fact is, he just sort of disappears at different points and times. So that's the point that you know, sort of breaks things down a bit. So for me personally, that's the part that I would say, hey, you know, they needed a little bit more Terry Crews. You know, just in my opinion. So yeah, would love to hear your guys' opinions on that too. But anyway, yeah, man, I appreciate all the well wishes and stuff like that. You guys, please like, share, all that stuff. Hit the bell. It'd be awesome. What prevents Microsoft from just refiling for a new Scalebound trademark, considering they own the IP? Well, they apparently canceled it or whatever. Like, they did renew it, and then they let it go. So I don't know. If they're not going to do anything, I'm not really sure. So yeah. But anyway, I really do appreciate you guys. I love the support, stuff like that. Please like, share, all that kind of good stuff. I will catch you guys later. Have a great evening. Thanks for the well wishes and stuff like that. Rack them up. Have a great one. Peace.